Hi everyone, I'm here with Stefano Marani, CEO of Renergen, and he'll just be giving us a quick update on the big announcement that they issued end of last week regarding Ivanhoe Mines. So Stefano, over to you with just, what does it mean and what's the plans going forward with regards to that?
Thanks. So yes, look, the big announcement was obviously that we're not going to be proceeding with that transaction. Essentially, there was a 120-day period in which a number of conditions precedent needed to be met, and it was a complex transaction. That's pretty much the be all and the end all of it. There were many aspects to that period, and given that those CPs weren't met within that time period, it became an opportune time for the parties to walk away from the transaction. The key thing over here is that had we proceeded, that would have been a 55% stake in the company at this stage, which would have meant that the remaining shareholders in the company would literally have been left with about 35% left of the project after the SAFE. So that the amount of dilution over there at the current share price would have been absolutely extraordinary. You can then ask why get into the transaction in the first place. Well, there was a before and an after. When the transaction was entered into before, a certain number of key things hadn't taken place. The first thing is that we hadn't had the DFC across the line. We hadn't had the Central Energy Fund. But more importantly, all of these transactions took place before the conflict in Europe. And now, obviously, there's a risk of recession. And that's pretty much changed the entire outlook on the planet right now. So from our perspective, not needing the cash right now, and actually not needing the bulk of that cash until the first quarter of next year, gives us a fantastic opportunity to consolidate, continue the work that we're doing. Nothing slows down on our side, and that sees us going into first quarter of next year before we actually consider raising that level of cash. And we will have had a couple of things happen. We will have had phase one in operation for several months, and we'll have had reporting on the back of that. We will have had operational updates. We will have continued a fair amount on the geological side. We will have made significant progress on the engineering as well as the EPC bidding for phase two. We will have had announcements on the Central Energy Fund. So there's a lot of water to flow under the bridge, and right now executing that transaction at this point in time is not in the best interests of the shareholders, of all of the existing shareholders.
Interesting. So with the relationship with Ivanhoe Mines going forward, is there anything that you can disclose? Obviously, they still have a stake in the company, if I'm not mistaken, around 4.4% or something.
It's a brilliant relationship. We get along well. Alex is still on the board. From a technical perspective, we've learned a lot from them. They're actively involved. We're still busy working through the exact requirements on the power side with them. So it's a long-term relationship, and we're the two companies get along particularly well. So I think both parties are very happy with where we are right now. I just don't think that the timing is right, and so much water has flowed under the bridge between the time that we entered into the transaction and now. You only need to look at what's happened from a global macro perspective to realize that this is not the right time to be executing something that's going to have such a major dilutionary impact on us as well as potentially them. Remember, from their perspective, there's also a situation where they were looking at doing a share-for-share deal. Now, copper prices then and copper prices now, it's a very, very different world, right?
Yeah, definitely. A lot has happened in this year. Thanks for the update, Stefano. Appreciate it.
Cool. Absolute pleasure. Listen, thanks again.